Hello and welcome to another Manga Spotlight. This is Slime Saints by Yao Aira and Umashi. I know what you might be thinking. Story where the main character is a slime in a fantasy world. This has got to be an isekai, right? Nope, not an isekai. It's also not based off of a light novel or web novel as far as I know. I believe this is just a straight up original mangaka series. So what is it about? Well, the basic premise. The weakest demon, Slime, who longs to be human, is reincarnated as a saint, but with the worst character of all, a villainous noble girl, from the lowest status, hated and resented, an existence where she will be terminated immediately if her true identity as a slime is discovered. She will become a beloved saint in order to live a safe and secure life. So yeah, not an isekai. Instead, it is a reincarnation series, kind of, but not really. Let's get into it. So we start off with the saint. The saint is a person who expels darkness and brings forth light to the world. When the saint performs miracles, she is blessed by the gods, and monsters shudder in awe. When wounds were healed, people offered prayers. When famine was lifted, minstrels composed songs. But the saint has a great secret. Surprisingly, the saint is a slime. And we start off with the saints, only she is not a slime. She is a regular human. She is also a noble. And she is also a see you next Tuesday. Actually, she's worse than that. We start off with her about to eat a meal, and she is delivered fish. But she grabs the plate and throws it back into the butler's face and says, I have a craving for meat instead. So the butler is like, okay, we have fresh boar. How would you like it cooked? And she immediately asks the butler, how long have you been working for me? He says, over 30 years now. She says, and you still don't know how I like my food cooked? Apologize now. And he gets down on his knees and starts begging for apologies. She puts her feet on his head, shoves his face into the floor, and basically calls the guards to send him to get punishments. And punishment usually means torture and eventually death. So basically, this guy's going to get tortured and possibly killed because he gave her fish instead of meat, and he didn't remember how she liked her meat cooked. That's how terrible of a person she is. And of course, all the other butlers and maids are just in fear of her. And so that's when we cut to our actual main character, who is a slime. And the slime is going around eating bugs, discovers a human walking the distance, and basically just kind of has a monologue about how humans have it easy. Humans are able to take out dragons. Humans can't go hungry even when they're weak, which is obviously fake, but I guess the slime doesn't know any better in that regard. That they get to live in giant houses, that they get to live in places way better than this forest where everything's trying to kill them. The slime wishes that they could become a human and say goodbye to this terrible slime life. And that's when the human approaches and tells the slime, hey, like, don't freak out, we're fellow kin. And the human pulls out a knife and slices their finger, and instead of blood coming out, it's slime, and explains that I became a human. The trick is that if you find a fresh corpse, you can go inside the human body and take it over. It has to be a corpse that's like as fresh as possible, though. And yeah, you're able to take over the body, and you can live a human life, which is the best. Like, everything tastes better. You don't have to worry about being in this forest. The only thing I would recommend is that you pick a good body, because once you've taken over a body, you cannot take over another one. That body is the one that you're stuck with. So, yeah, I'm going to go now, and I hope to see you in the human world someday. And so that's when our slime character decides, you know what? I'm going to become a human too. So the slime starts walking around trying to find bodies, and all the bodies that it finds are skeletal bodies. So no bodies that the slime can take over. The slime's like almost getting ready to give up when he sees two humans approaching. And one of them falls down this ravine, and the slime approaches the body, and it's Lady Jelly. And the slime's like, oh my god, this is a human. It's wearing beautiful fabric, sparkling stones, smooth and dry hair. This has got to be a noble. Why did she fall? Why is there poison on her breath? Oh well, it doesn't matter. Like, her heart's not beating, she's not breathing, she's still warm, which means that this is a fresh corpse. This is a corpse that I can become a human in. And so the slime goes inside her body and takes over. and eventually wakes up as Lady Jelly. And she's super excited because now she's a human. She doesn't have to live her life as a slime anymore. But that's when she gets some memories of Lady Jelly's life. Not like a whole bunch of memories, but just quick little flashes. And the flashes that she gets are terrible. She realizes that Lady Jelly was a horrible person who used to beat the crap out of people while laughing maniacally about it. She's like, oh my God, I can't imitate that kind of person. Like when you take over a body, you want to imitate that person as much as you can so that anyone who's familiar with that person when they were alive won't suspect you of, being a doppelganger or a shapeshifter or a slime or whatever. But there's no way I can become Lady Jelly. Lady Jelly was a terrible person. People resented her. And you know what? Maybe that's why she was dead. Maybe she was assassinated. Well, I don't want to be assassinated, so I can't be as bad as her. So now this slime is starting to have second thoughts about not becoming a human, but taking over this body. At first, I was super excited because it's a noble, and it's a beautiful noble. Like this is going to be a smooth sailing when it comes to life. But now the slime's thinking, oh God, this is a terrible person who was assassinated. What's to stop the people from trying to assassinate me again? Okay, I got to make sure that I become a better person than Lady Jelly was, but still try to remain as in character as possible, just without the negative qualities. And so we have just hilarious moments at first where she's trying to get used to this body. She can barely stand up, much less walk. We just see her like falling on the floor and constantly rolling around, almost like a slime. She even tries to use a stick to help her with her walking, but even that doesn't really help, and she ends up cutting herself. She's like, oh man, human body is like really fragile. As expected, my blood is colorless, and it's just because it's not actual blood, it's just mimicking it. My identity will be revealed if people see me like this. So I got to make sure that I never get hurt in front of humans. And so eventually Lady Jelly is able to walk on her legs. She arrives in town where everybody sees her and everybody is just absolutely scared of her. As soon as they see her, they run away. Some people can't even believe that she's alive. And eventually she's able to recall the previous human memories about where she lives. And she shows up at the house. And that's where all the butlers are like shocked to see her. And of course, they're freaking out. And everybody's like, oh my God, how is she still alive? She was supposed to be assassinated. She's supposed to be dead. Yeah, we just get a little bit of comedic moments where Lady Jelly is trying to be nice, but people are misinterpreting what she's saying as something villainous, or they're trying to like make sure to keep her super pampered and happy so that she doesn't fly off the handle. And eventually, our slime realizes that the saint didn't go to the mountain for training. She didn't slip and fall. Someone has thrown her off a cliff, and the person who threw her off the cliff was wearing clothes similar to the ones that my butlers are wearing, which means that one of the butlers killed the original Lady Jelly. But I can't recall the killer's face. So now I'm living in this house in a town where everybody hates me. I have to portray Lady Jelly, but without the villainous traits because I don't want people to resent me even more. I gotta make sure that I never get hurt in front of these people. Otherwise, they're gonna realize that I'm a slime. And at the same time, I'm living under the same roof as the person that assassinated the original owner of this body. And so that's the type of life that this slime has found themselves in. And from there, it's basically the slime trying to be a good person, trying to treat people with respect, but people thinking that the slime is putting up an act, that Lady Jelly is trying to get people to fall into this false sense of security where she's eventually going to show her true colors as this villainous torturer. Meanwhile, at the same time, trying to discover who the assassin is. Why did they assassinate her? And is there any way I can prevent this person from assassinating me as well? That's basically where the story goes, at least for now. But there you go, there's Slime Saints. I think it's a nice, fresh take on the whole fantasy genre where the main character is a slime. Instead of becoming like super OP, this is the exact opposite. Not to say that the slime was OP in the beginning, because the slime was basically like the weakest of all monsters. But the slime here is just a weak monster that becomes a, at the moment, weak character. But the weak character is a saint, and saints do have powers. However, this slime just does not know how to use them at this point in time. Maybe they'll eventually discover how to use these powers and become an actual saint. But I like this. I like the fact that we have a slime that's not getting super OP in the beginning. I like the fact that there's no video game like status screens or any of that kind of stuff. While I don't mind that, I am kind of annoyed that like every single fantasy manga that I read seems to follow that whole video game status screen kind of format. And I'm not really a fan of having that in every single fantasy story. I also like the fact that this isn't like a straight up action battle shonen series. Instead, this is almost kind of a slice of life mixed with a bit of a murder mystery where the slime is trying to live the life of a regular human. So that's where the slice of life part comes in. We just have her like eating cake and drinking tea and trying to befriend her maids and butlers, while at the same time trying to discover the mystery of who was the assassin that killed the owner of the body that I'm now in control of. So yeah, I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can read the series for yourself. But there you go, there's Slime Saints. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any recommendations for a series I should check out, let me know. But I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later.